Two.
What's up, Fackers? We are back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. Number 64 on our list, we have the tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders, Darren Waller. Is our fifth ranked tight end. Last year, he finished as tight end number 3. A monster season last year. Here's a few of his stats. He had 90 catches for 1,145 yards and 3 touchdowns on 117 targets. It's a very efficient catch percentage there. Scored 181 fantasy points, an average of 11.3 per game. Okay, just a few points about Darren Waller. Um, he did have a monster year, yardage and catch wise. Only 3 touchdowns. I expect him to have a touchdown progression, get a few more touchdowns added on there. Um, he should still be the Raiders' top target this season. Last year, their number 1 wide receiver was Tyrell Williams. They drafted Henry Ruggs in the first round, but he has a very strange injury. Suffered a couple weeks ago helping somebody move and got like stabbed in the leg or
Yeah.
somehow his leg got penetrated. Like, I don't know, it was really weird sounding. And who knows if he's going to be 100% by the time the season starts. But either way, even if he was 100%, I still think Darren Waller would be the top target there for Derek Carr. And if you watched our last couple of videos about tight ends, we've talked about clearly there's an upper echelon of tight ends, and then the next guys kind of fall in line. Will he be able to repeat last year and separate himself and continue to join that top tier? Because I want to see it multiple years. We've seen big years before out of tight ends for them just to kind of fade away. So can Darren Waller do it again and really join that top tier with Kelsey and Kittle and Ertz and Mark Andrews?
Yeah. I want to hear how you feel about him first, because I got some things to say about him, but I don't know. I was reading some Reddit posts and some other threads, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people are too high on him this year. But I want to hear what you have to say about him first.
Well, he's big guy, 6'5", 6'6", very fast, especially for a tight end. But I don't know how much of his success was due to just so much production he had because he was kind of the only option there.
Yeah.
Like how much based on he was on a shitty team and he was basically the only guy to throw to besides Tyrell Williams.
Okay. Now let me talk. I'm gonna switch it up here for a second. But I'm gonna talk about George Kittle for a second. All right. Run
Okay.
first offense. They got some
Right.
new wide receivers in San Fran. You know, they got a bad to average quarterback. He was the number 1 target on the team last year, right?
Okay.
This is all George Kittle. So what? How do those things not also apply to Darren Waller? And then I want to get
I
to a
think they
stat
do
real
apply
quick.
to him.
Yeah.
Are you
So
are you
why?
asking me why I don't have Darren Waller up with George Kittle?
Well, not just you, but like I was reading on all these threads, and people
Or
seem
just
so
in
low on
general,
him.
why is he not? Well, kind of like I said at the very beginning, I want to see it. That was his only year to ever do
No,
that in the
yeah,
NFL.
I
He's been
agree with that.
15. George Kittle is now going into year 4 at least of just constant top tier production. We've seen guys in the past couple of years like Eric Ebron, guys like that have had monster years and then kind of fall off. So I want to
Yeah,
see it again from Darren. Although Darren Waller, I mean, he can do it again. I believe he's a
yeah, yeah.
monster. Like I said, I would not be surprised if he repeated his production from last year, but I just want to see it before I really put him up there with Kittle and Kelsey.
No, I agree with that point that he's only done it 1 year so far. But a lot of these that's the first time I've seen anyone mention that, which is kind of crazy when you think people talk about fantasy all day long. No one mentioned that this is only his first year. They're all bringing up these points like, oh, it's a run first offense. They got new wide receivers. Derek Carr's bad. These are all things you can apply to George Kittle too, but for some reason
Right.
they have George Kittle
And
ranked so much higher. We know the reason why, but obviously,
also, the 49ers are a very good team. They were in the Super Bowl last year. The Raiders, I mean, they were okay last year, but I don't think they're anywhere
no. But
close to it.
you could also say the 49ers defense is a whole lot better than the Raiders defense is.
Right, but just due to the defense and the, the opportunities that they give the offense, just gives George Kittle that many more opportunities to
Yeah.
produce.
So right now, I was just looking up. Darren Waller's ADP is 52, so sixth round. I mean, like 3 rounds after Kittle. I think I might be okay with taking Darren Waller there. And I also want to bring up one more thing that Darren Waller last year was number 8 in the entire league, including receivers, including running backs, in yards after catch. George Kittle was third. Only 2 tight ends in the top 10 were those two guys. That's
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of big plays. He's like I said, for a tight end, he's probably the fastest tight end in the league
yeah, I think up
as
there
far
with
as
Ingram
breakaway
maybe.
speed. He's 6'6". I mean, he's a monster. There's
Yeah,
not much. Oh, there's not much bad to say about Darren Waller.
I guess the only thing is you already brought up that he had 3 touchdowns. He's not really that big of a red zone threat, but
Yeah.
with 3 touchdowns, you expect that to go up at least a little bit. Like he's gonna, I
Just
think
based on the law of averages, like he should push 6 or 7
tight
touchdowns.
tight
Like that
ends
sounds
usually,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
get more touchdowns than that. And plus, Henry Ruggs isn't the type of guy that's gonna, command a lot of targets. He's more just he might be like one of the fastest wide receivers in the league. We kind of saw that with Marquise
He's
Brown last year.
a big play speed guy.
Yeah, so who knows? He might even stretch the
You
field. Open up some more opportunity for Darren Waller.
brought up his ADP at 52. It's probably a little early for me,
If I can get him in the
even
seventh,
though
I think I'm
like I
jumping on it.
described, I have him ranked in the 7th round here. Beginning of the 6th, late 5th. I'd really have to really nail my 5 picks to be able to take Darren Waller there.
Yeah,
But he is. We're talking about all these tight ends in the middle. He's the one guy I think that could actually
could
outperform
jump
this
up.
rank.
Yeah, I prefer
But
him way above the 2 guys we just talked about previously, Hunter Henry and Evan Ingram. I'd much rather have Darren Waller.
we know you know how I feel about tight ends.
Yeah,
Where taking them in the draft, and I just don't know if I. Although like I said, based on him and compared to those other tight ends we just got doing, he's the one that if he was available in this spot that I would
you
think
might
about.
you might hop on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's going to get a lot of targets, like you said. He's the number 1 there right now. I don't see that changing with Henry Ruggs coming in. And then we mix in, I was looking at some other stats. Derek Carr in 2018, his average depth of target was 7.3 yards per target. That was the second
Mm.
lowest. And then last year, it got even lower than that to 6.6. That means he's not throwing the ball deep, and that's probably why they drafted Ruggs. But this is a guy that made Jared Cook all of a sudden relevant after Jared Cook couldn't do anything for 3 other teams. So I don't I see Darren Waller having a pretty good year. Now, will I take him in the 6th? That's tough. That's where I'm on the fence right now.
That just comes down to how you feel about tight ends.
Yeah,
Like I said, I personally feel you can wait till probably the 8th, 9th, 10th and get a very good tight end that will provide starter numbers. So if you want to take Darren Waller, you're probably gonna have to take him in about the 6th round, and I just don't know if I'm prepared to do that.
yeah. I mean, this is kind of a different tight end than these other guys we've been talking about, because this is when you're going for those late tight ends, you're banking on red zone targets, touchdowns, and we just talked about this is a guy that's not getting those. He's getting more yards, so that's why I kind of like him. He's
He's
getting
a,
targets, getting yards.
he's a possession middle of the field guy.
Yeah, that's a receiver they don't have right now.
Yep. All right, so just kind of wrap it up. Our 5th ranked tight end, number 64 overall, we have Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas.
Raiders.
Go
We
Raiders. We out.